G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today we look at two of the world's best players going head to head up against each other. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on Himeyama, a very fun map, and already we start off the game by seeing a little bit of water action coming out. Looks like it's just going to be from our western player for the moment. Our eastern player yet to expand towards that center, and I suspect probably no expansion will be seen today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Himeyama. Let's introduce our two players for you. In the west of the map, in the color red, playing as the French, it's Sass. And on the east side of the map, in the color blue, playing as the Juicy Legacy, it's Vortex. I was very tempted to introduce them and where they were from, but this isn't an Outback Octagon game. No, this is just a standard 1v1 game on the ranked ladder at the moment. Looking forward to seeing how it goes. Of course, you guys will know I'm a big fan of the Juicy Legacy, but of course the French have a very safe space in my heart. Have a look at this. So many vills on the wood. I think he's actually messed up a little bit here and not gone to the straggler. Maybe I'm crazy. Is he going to put down a lumber camp instead? Normally what you want to do is try and stay on the straggler as much as you can in the early stages of the game, especially when you're looking for that dock boom. I suspect it might just be the case that he didn't do the shift click, and then by the time he realized, he was already too far gone at that point. You know what? Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. So he's come out and look, it happens. It happens. You know, sometimes you've got things going on. I know the other day I was playing a game and halfway through my son burst into the door and you know everything just goes out the window at that point. The little guy. Oh, tell you what, man, I worry about this little guy. So we've got a two-story place and we have a gate up the top. And often my wife and I will be down here chilling in the evening after the kids have gone to bed. And the other night, about 11 p.m., we were wrapping up some Christmas presents. And I guess we didn't leave the gate locked. We left it unlocked. And anyway, he walked all the way downstairs after he'd woken up. So got himself out of bed, opened his door, walked downstairs, and he asked, "Daddy, are you tired?" And I was like, "Hey, bud, yeah, I'm a little bit tired." Oh, anyway, it's a joy. It's a joy. Hopefully, he won't remember anything about the Christmas presents. But look, we'll get into more shenanigans later with regard to Christmas. I can tell you guys about when I discovered that Santa was actually my mother. I suspect I should be fine talking about this because my demographics are largely over the age of 18. But yeah, I remember when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and we had these big sacks that my mum would put all of the toys into, and I remember sleeping on the sack, and she couldn't get to it, the poor thing. Oh, terrible, terrible stuff. I wasn't the best son. Anyway, I woke up at like 11:30 at night, and she was tugging at the sack, trying to pull it out with the lights on, and I was like, "What are you doing, Mum? Get out of here!" And anyway, that's how I found out Santa wasn't real. Because I did actually remember that in the morning. All right, we've got the age ups that have come through. So for Vortex, keep in mind he hasn't gone for the early dock. He's just played a pretty standard opening. Despite Sass going for the early dock, he still manages to get the School of Cavalry up very, very quickly. Nice little timing here, though. If anything, I would just say Vortex is a little bit delayed in his age up, if anything. What was it that contributed to the age up? We don't really see anything too crazy here, other than a village coming out. So I'm not sure what maybe was it berries? Was he on? No, he wasn't on berries. I don't know exactly why Vortex's age up is so late. Obviously, he's had to walk out quite a bit to get over here and to hand it in. Or not to hand it in, but to walk out over here and to put it down. But I don't think that really contributed too much to the delay in the age up. Like normally the Juicy Legacy, you're looking at like a 3:30 age up, 3:40, that sort of timing. So who knows, maybe in 30-40 seconds. Yeah, look, we'll allow it for the moment. Nice little spot that he's got back here. So he's picked up not just the standard 6 berry patch, but the 8 berries. Also gets the gold and plenty of wood as well. So he'll be very happy with that. So the question's going to be about how he looks to play this matchup, and almost certainly it's just going to be a fast castle. That's the most common way that you look to play this matchup. You don't really have enough timing to do anything other than that. So, age up, go for your Shaolin Monastery. Look to go into Lancers is normally the best thing that you can do as the Juicy Legacy. And then maybe look at mixing in a couple of bald guys just to pick up those relics. And then from there, you can consider whether you want to go into a second TC. But I suspect in this matchup, we probably won't see second TCs coming out. Depending on how Sass wants to play it, he can get aggressive. But I suspect after Vortex ages up, he's probably just going to want to age up himself as well. All right, well, Outpost is coming up on the gold mine, so no real surprises there. He's got 5 vills at the moment. Let's ride on board with Vortex and see how the scouting is doing. He will spot out that there's quite a few villagers on gold back at home, and if I saw this many vills on gold, I'd be thinking, okay, this guy's probably going to drop a second stable. That was quite a bit. Like, normally you see 4 or 5 vills, and that's kind of it. Let's have a look and see what the play is, and it is going to be a second stable. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of cavalry out very quickly here for Sasson. He'll be able to utilize that water economy that he had built up earlier on in this game. You can see he's only gone for the 3 fishing boats here, and that's absolutely fine. It's a slow trickle, and that will be supported, or that will be supporting rather this investment into the military side of things. Let's check in, though, with Vortex, because that age up is about to come through, and you can see he's already got his own stable that's come up. Meanwhile, in the back of the base, the Shaolin Monastery does get dropped down. Now, keep in mind the priority here won't be to max out on Shaolin monks this early. The most important thing is just going to be about getting Lancers up, so I'd be surprised to see him. Yeah, he might go for 1 just to pick up relics like this one, which is quite easy, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Sass come out here as well and look to contest this positioning, just because of the proximity to the base is quite low, and it means that it's going to be an easy picking for him. All right, well, with the Shaolin Monastery about to come up, this is a pretty good timing here for Vortex, considering he's got the outpost, considering he's got the stable, and considering how delayed his age up was. So pretty well played for him right now. Only about 20 seconds behind what is pretty much the fastest you can do for the Juicy Legacy. And of course, now those knights are going to be coming in, and we can see immediately the stable is going to start training out those Lancers. He's not supervising it at the moment. It does have the second Imperial Official out, though. I suspect this Imperial Official will be very quickly moved over towards this stable. You can see he's just going to be collecting a little bit of tax at the moment. 3 knights now coming out here for Sass, and you can see no villagers lost at this stage of the game. A little bit of health taken off one of them, but that Lancer, you don't want to be taking even a fight in the Castle Age, a 3v1, you don't want to be taking that second Lancer about to come out. In fact, did it just pop out? Or am I crazy? I might be crazy. Maybe he just started the second Lancer. It can always be difficult when you've got pressure like this being put on, because you don't always have the resources that you need to train those units up. The other thing to note is that the Shaolin Monk, if it does come out, it can heal itself, but it can't heal your allied unit. So he'll need to drop down a monastery if he wants to go for that, and look to get his own monk out to repair or to heal these troops up. Let's check in with Sass, though, and see how he's doing back on the other side of the map as more raids continue, and he is up to about 6. He's got 6 knights out at the moment, 3 in queue, 2 stables for the moment. The blacksmith is out. He's looking to pick up fitted leatherwork, +1 melee armor, which is just going to help him out a little bit more, and he does actually spot out the enemy landmark towards the north of the map. Beautiful control coming out from Vortex as well. Definitely not missing a beat when it comes to protection of the villagers. So far, Sass has managed to take out 1 villager. I don't know exactly where that villager went down or when it went down, but I would suspect it was here. Though, to be fair, yeah, okay, never mind. It was probably here on the gold vein that it actually went down. And now have a look at this. Lance has actually come out over onto the map, and beautiful micro from Sass. Have a look at that. He's trying his best to keep that one villain alive, but it's not gonna happen. Oh, he was very, very good at doing that. So he was moving 1 villager, and then the 4 other villagers were kind of moving and stopping and moving and stopping. Really, really strange micro, but I guess the idea is that you want to prevent the pathing through the villages, and to do that, you have to stop. So I think that's what he was looking at doing. So really, really cool use of the pathing there. But unfortunately, in the end, the vill does go down, and now a little bit of a trade coming in on this backside as the crossbows make their way onto the field. The first one comes out, grabs a kill. Lancer gets chased down by a Royal Knight. And still at this stage in the game, Sass does not appear to be at all concerned with the prospect of Castle Age. No second town center in sight. Stone outcroppings untouched. This looks like a man intent on getting a lot of cavalry out on the field. Now, keep in mind his opponent has already got those crossbows out, and we do see that Shaolin Monk, just the single Shaolin Monk. Actually, I take it back, he does have a second Shaolin Monk on the map now, but is starting to pick up those relics. This one most likely going to get picked off here. There are so many damn knights around, and it's unlikely that Vortex will get away with being so brazen in his attempt to pick up early relics. Let's check in and see how Vortex is doing, though. The first relic coming in now. Keep in mind, he's got a scout behind enemy lines. That wall to the south has been scouted out as well. And now he's just going to be looking to siege down the outpost. He says, you know what? I'm not even scared. A handful of units on the defense. Vils try and get the repair off. But it's going to be the crossbows and the lancers that are going to be making the difference in this defense. You can see just how much Sass is really deciding on whether or not to commit to this fight. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Vortex attempts to take out some villagers on that gold vein. A very low health lancer is going to end up being taken out. Ooh, it's very dangerous leaving a lancer alive with 1 health, but I think someone with the caliber of Sass, he should be absolutely fine in dealing with this threat, and indeed, he shuts it down completely. All right, so I think the biggest issue that Vortex has got at the moment is his army is quite immobile. I would have loved for him to just keep making lancers, but the truth is you're up against the French, and the French are notorious for the strength of their knights. These are no ordinary knights. These are royal knights. They've got extra damage on the charge. They've got healing. There's a lot of things. There are a lot of things going on for them that are just, well, difficult to deal with unless you go for some other form of counter unit. So for Vortex here on the Juicy Legacy, it makes sense for him to move into these crossbows, but it does limit his mobility quite a lot, and he's looking to try and get walls up to counteract that. Another knight going down. Sass walling in the west, continuing to come up and moving over to farms of all things. Interesting decision to go into farms this early, especially as the French when you've got this much map control, but I guess he's just very aware of the threat that his opponent may be out on the map with lancers, even just a single lancer, and can do damage. So it's just better to play it safe than be sorry, I suspect is the case for him. We now start to see a mounted samurai. Mounted Shaolin Monk, jeez Louise, mounted samurai. You know, I'll be honest with you guys, it's a little bit late at the moment, 2:30 at night. But to be fair, I think I'm okay. I've had my OJ, my orange juice. You know what I didn't have today? I didn't have my bloody coffee. I didn't have my coffee yesterday either. I've been a little bit antsy. I've been telling my missus, hey, what's going on? We need more coffee beans in this house. Anyway, she'll sort it out. That's what she's good at. Anyway, nice little defense here from Vortex. And the Royal Institute now comes up on the other side of the map for Sass. Don't worry. Royal Institute is not going to be giving you any mounted samurais this game, but it will be giving you veterancy? Or it technically won't be giving you veterancy. It'll be giving you access to a lot of technologies, but veterancy is not one of those technologies. Most likely Royal Bloodlines is what he's going to be looking at, though. And this is a really dangerous timing that Vortex is going to have to deal with. So the question is going to be, how does he deal with that? We also start to see horsemen now in the mix here for Sass. All of the lancers, or rather all of the knights, just run through the crossbows and get absolutely obliterated. Big mistake coming out there from Sass. Vortex now going to start pushing across the map. This is going to be the second relic he gets his hands on. There's still 3 on the ground for the moment. Means Sass will have an opportunity to pick them up, and we can see the lancers as they're pulled back. Beautiful micro here from Sass, or rather from Vortex, as Sass gets caught off guard. And now running underneath the outpost, villagers inside. The knights do manage to come back, and Sass tries his luck in defending. We see elite veterancy for these royal knights. We also see professional scouts going to be coming through for Sass as well. And I think that makes a lot of sense when you're up against a civilization that's using mobility, like the Juicy Legacy is at the moment. They're not typically a mobile unit or a mobile civilization, but they're using it very well here in the Castle Age. So naturally, it makes sense. And I like this as a reactive technology. It's going to work for him. At least that's my suspicion. Beautiful control coming out. The Horseman Knight combo. This means that the Horsemen are going to be able to chase down all of the crossbows, and the Knights will be able to fight up against the Lancers. But in the end, looks like Vortex continues to hold for the moment. Cantled saddles coming in. Going to be increasing that bonus damage. And we see in the center of the map, the Warcog looks to start the wheels in motion. It's going to fall back away from those units. Able to snipe out more crossbows. He's getting in some decent value from that Warcog. It's really annoying when your enemy takes the water like this. Doesn't really leave you with much opportunity to counter it, with the exception of something like Siege. Another knight's going to go down. SAS losing a lot of units in this game. Now, keep in mind, while these players are both Conqueror 3, while they're both Conqueror 3 plus, you would still say that Vortex would be a higher rated player. And I think that's part of the reason why you see all of these really nice pickoffs from him so far. He's been doing absolute work throughout this game in just picking off the units from SAS. And as I say that, ironically, SAS, or coincidentally, ironically, what's the difference between coincidence and irony? I'll need to study it, but we see a whole bunch of units going down for really no reason or rhyme, other than I guess they just needed to get back to the villages that were getting taken out a little bit more quickly. Chaos all over this map right now has the units do eventually get repelled. We'll take a look back towards the main base of SAS and see how he's doing. He's got a lot of walls building up here for himself. Now, keep in mind, he did also pick up professional scouts. So we're going to want to see exactly how he plays that. Look at this guy. He's going mass cavalry. 100% cav. Is this where Vortex has to go into spears? I feel like the moment you... Okay, good. I feel like the moment that you see your enemy making horsemen in addition to their knights to counter your crossbows, that's where you're like, no, I'm getting the spears out. So it better be some speary boys, and it looks like it will be. So fortunately, SAS is going to be forced to make units other than cavalry today. But even though we would love to see him make only cavalry, it's not going to be the case. He's got quite a lead already. 600 score points. It's quite a bit. Now, professional scouts, as I mentioned, 3 times now, is in. We haven't yet seen any movement from him. But just as I say that, the scout is out. Looking to pick up the deer, bring it back slowly. I don't actually... How long does it take to get through a deer? Well, I guess... you could math it out. It would depend on how many vills you had, but then at the same time, you're also probably limited by how many vills can actually go on the deer. If it's the same as the boar, which is 8... they'd go through it pretty quickly. You'd probably need at least 2 to 3 scouts getting deer in to keep parity with 8 vills. I don't even... I'd have to know the numbers. And it's always hard, right? Because even if you're able... The deer hunt is always going to have a different or a variable distance between where it is and where your town center is. So I don't know if you can really calculate something like that. I'm sure you could on a static basis, but... Oh, it's the Jiangnan Tower. Never mind. On a static basis, you could, but these are randomly generated maps. We never really know where they're going to be. But the Jiangnan Tower is going to be coming up for Vortex. This is going to push him from the Tang Dynasty into the Song Dynasty. It's going to mean he can transition over to farms because it'll unlock the granary for him. At the moment, he's only got access to the mill. And it means that none of the villagers here are getting buffed up by that 10% bonus that each granary provides. Now, he'll be able to put a granary down nearby and we'll be able to buff up all of these villagers. Though, he'll be using this mill a little bit superfluously. Anyway, towards the middle of the map, crossbow numbers are beginning to build. Warcog trying its best to stay alive as the big wall comes in from Vortex. Bit of a weird wall. Demo ship, oh my lord, from SAS at point blank range. Wow, I'm glad we caught that one on tape. Unfortunately, it does I say it does barely any damage. It did some pretty decent damage. I don't think Vortex was expecting that. If he was expecting that, he wouldn't have been there. Or at least he would have had a little bit more spread in his sieging units. Though, it wasn't the case today. Meanwhile, towards the north, slowly but steadily, SAS looks to break through that northern wall. Double gold mine up here. It's going to be the only gold available to Vortex during this time. Now, there's obviously gold out on the map that he can look to grab access to, but with an enemy with so much cavalry, he'd be bold to leave the confines of these walls, the sanctity of these walls. And now, Lancers trying their best to defend. Vortex loses a whole bunch of vills there on the gold mine. He knew they were going down, but the re-wall comes in on the backside. You're not locked in here with me. I'm locked in here with you. Wait, I think that's how that goes. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. That's the one that I meant. It's always tough to remember which way it goes. You know, technically it could go both ways, though. There is just absolute crazy amounts of units all over this map, though. These guys are going ham. Spears, upgrades have come through. He gets the nice point-blank charge off on them, and now looks to chase down all of the crossbows from Vortex. Meanwhile, on the outside of the walls, somehow these knights have still managed to keep themselves alive. Royal Bloodlines is through, 310 health on them. And the chase continues. Though these cavalry units are starting to lose a bit of health. Keep in mind they are French cav units. And naturally that means they will be healing back up. Or at least the knights. In the middle of the map, more units rallying in, looking to clean up reinforcements. Sacred sites being neutralized, of all things, at this time, at the 20th minute. Speaking of 20 minutes, let's switch it over to income per minute, get a bit of an idea on where the income is for both of these players. At the moment, a 12 villager difference, largely in favor of our French player, Sass. A combination of raiding together with villagers that just simply produce faster. 17 seconds versus 20 seconds. But in the north, he's going to try for another attack. Plenty of spears and crossbows here for Vortex on the defense. Now Sass looking to escape towards the south. I suspect he's locked in here permanently, unless there's some units on the outside that can somehow free. The problem is you've got this annoying wall that kind of cuts your army off into the north or the south, and now we've got attack alarms happening everywhere. You can see that's what he's going to try and do. Look at the walls that are coming up from Vortex. Vortex going ham with the walls right now. He is really looking to turn this base into a bit of a puzzle piece. It's going to become a mystery as to how you get out of here. It's almost like a, what am I thinking of, a hedge. You know those hedge mazes? Have you ever been through a hedge maze? I think I went through one once, but I was tall enough to see over the top, so it wasn't really that fun. Maybe it was a hedge maze for kids. I guess that's kind of anything, right? Like you play children's games, and it's just, as an adult, you dominate them. It feels good. It feels good. It's like playing against someone in Iron League. It's you know, it feels really good. I smashed this maze. It's like, mate, you can see over the top, you dickhead. It's like, I beat my son in Connect 4, and it's like, the dude doesn't even know how to count to 4, and he's playing. Nah, I'm just kidding. He knows how to count. Yeah, but you guys get the idea, right? All right, the cleanup crew has arrived. Now, what's interesting to note is, remember earlier how we were talking about spearmen, and about how the fact that spearmen were out on the map, that Sass would just have to make archers to respond? Well, Sass said, hey, Drongo, you're wrong. I'm not making any archers. I'm literally just making only cav. I don't care. I really don't care. I will happily take these fights with cavalry only. Bro, this is actually crazy. But, you know, this reminds me of a game that I once played. I remember I played against Louis MT once. And he was playing as the French, and I was playing as the Juicy Legacy. That's why I remember it. And I was in a really good spot. Like, I was in such a great spot. The trouble was, he stalled out the game with keeps, Louis MT did. And we got to like 40 minutes into the game, and he got max pop, just Royal Knight. Like, literally Royal Knights only. And the reality is, when you're max pop Royal Knight only, that means you've got like 100 Royal Knights. Maybe like between 60 to 70 normally. And your opponent has also got 60 to 70 units, except their spears and their crossbows. Now, you want to know the difference between a spearman and a crossbow when it comes, and a Royal Knight when it comes to cost? The Royal Knight costs 3 times as much as a spearman. 3 times! 3 times as much, which means your army is worth 3 times as much. And even though they're the same pop, and even though they're counter units, it doesn't matter. So we're going to see an example of that right here as Sass begins to make his move on the enemy gold. A beautiful keep position here. He's going to try and defend the onslaught of crossbows and spears towards this keep, and it looks almost certain the keep will be coming online. Meanwhile, towards the south, sacred sites have been secured, and Sass moves further forward in this game. His position is incredible, honestly. He's got double sacred sites. He's only got the 1 relic, but he's managed to completely deny gold off the opponent. So we've got 1, 2 gold. Where's the next gold? Is it literally here? And we can see there was a monk on this gold vein. So he's aware of it. Realistically though, this is a tough game now for Vortex. Would you call it gold screwed? Probably not. I don't know if I'd call it gold screwed, because realistically, SAS had the same spawn, but at the same time, SAS is playing the French. So is it really fair? You know, if someone's aggressive and someone's defensive and both of you guys get front gold, who does that favor? Well, it obviously favors the guy who's aggressive. If you both get back gold, it obviously favors the guy who's defensive. So it's one of those things where you can't always have it your way. More upgrades coming through. Lumber preservation. Fertilization. Steeled arrow on the way. Interesting decision. Steeled arrow? What's that all about? Maybe just for his keep. The longer this game goes, though, the more it becomes clear that Age of Empires 4 may have a cavalry problem. Is it just me? Are you guys seeing this as well? I mean, SAS is playing this out of his mind. He's playing really well. And even though Vortex is one of the best in the business, he's still beatable. He's not perfect. And SAS's position looks to continue to increase in strength. Moves in underneath the enemy town center. He's going to be forced away by all these spears and crossbows. This is literally the dream response. Like, you couldn't ask for a better army here. Vortex holds, and there's a hole in the wall. Horseman numbers starting to improve as well. He's up to 20 horsemen now. This wall will be fixed up very quickly. There it is, getting fixed up immediately now by Vortex. And on the north side of the map, I mean, at this stage of the game, I don't even know what Vortex could have done differently. I think maybe going into a second town center after he hit Castle Age and stabilized after the 4 relics were picked up. But even then, you know, he's been on the back foot the entirety of this game. The walls have been up. The only offense he's really made a couple of raids, and it's very hard to disagree with those because the risk versus reward is so low for those types of raids. Like, okay, you lost a Lancer, who cares? How many Vils could have you killed, or did you kill? So that's where it comes in. I don't know how he gets away with a second TC though. Even in a 27-minute game, I feel like you probably didn't have an opportunity for it. And have a look at this, a little bit of a squeeze coming in. On one side from the south, the Horsemen and the Knights. Meanwhile, on the north side, the keep continues to remain above board. Crossbow numbers looking good. Horseman fighting largely up against those spears. He's going to try for a quick wall or a re-wall. He's actually going to get it up. And that's unfortunate now for SAS, as he's going to have to run the gauntlet again up against all these units. SAS losing out quite a bit here. So one of the things that we spoke about earlier was the fact that Vortex was able to find a lot of opportunity taking out enemy units earlier on in this game. There were times where SAS just sort of gave away troops. And now Vortex is able to pick up even more troops. We saw a huge amount of horsemen and knights just go down. And it's all because of that quick re-wall that he's done. He's done that twice now, where the opponent has gotten into his base and he's re-walled it and said, no, this is my base. I'm stuck in here with you. You're not stuck in here with me. Or words to the effect of. But now beginning to move forward, Vortex realizes his strength, his true strength, his power. And hold your horses. We got some Springalds coming out now. Is this going to be it? Is this going to be the way that he manages to deal with these spears? Let's take a look and see. As every single unit that he fires through is going to be damaged. He gets a beautiful enfilade upon the enemy troops. And look at this, all the spearmen are taken out. It's only Royal Knights. He's going to have to kite his way back into this. Continues kiting away. The Trebs are moving forward. He's actually putting the Trebs to the front so he's putting the Trebs to the front to sacrifice them so he can keep the crossbows alive. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. But Vortex is struggling right now. 29 minutes into this game. SAS is looking to close this one out. Vortex trying to keep the head above water. But still those Springalds continue up the rear. A lot of Royal Knights still online here. He is pumping non-stop. Springalds, you heard it here first, are actually good. They're actually good. Holy moly, he actually just beat Vortex with Springalds and Royal Knights only. What is the Age of Empires 4 meta at the moment? This is absolute insanity. Holy moly. All right, fellas, I'll leave a link in the description to where you can watch both of these folks over on Twitch. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. That was interesting.